The sun was gentle that morning, and the air carried the scent of ripening fruit. In a quiet little town surrounded by green hills and red earth, an old mango tree stood tall, its branches wide like open arms. Beneath it, two girls played every day, Kate and Jadora. Kate had skin the color of warm earth and eyes that shone with curiosity. Jadora was light-skinned, bright, and full of laughter. They were not sisters by blood, but by heart. They went to the same school, sat on the same wooden bench, and even shared food from the same plate. The townsfolk often smiled when they saw them pass by hand in hand. If you see Kate, they'd say, Jadora can't be far behind. They fetched water together, chased butterflies, and laughed until the evening wind carried their voices across the fields. When the rainy season came, thunder rolled across the night sky like angry drums. Lightning flashed behind the hills, and the world seemed to tremble. Every time it stormed, Kate would leave her room quietly and run barefoot through the soft, wet earth to Jadora's house. She would tap on the window and whisper, "It's me." And Jadora would always open the door with a smile. They would crawl under one colorful wrapper, huddling close while the rain beat on the roof. "Don't be scared," Jadora would whisper. "I'm not scared," Kate would reply, though her tiny hands shook. They whispered their dreams into the night, to grow up, to travel far, to wear fine dresses, to never lose each other. They made promises only children can make, believing that forever was something they could hold. Outside, thunder rolled again. Inside, their friendship grew stronger than fear itself. But storms don't just live in the sky. Some come quietly, years later. Years passed. The mango tree grew thicker, its roots deep and strong. Kate and Jadora grew too, into beautiful young women ready to step into the world. The little town was alive with celebration. It was graduation night. Music echoed across the fields, laughter filled the air, and colored lights danced through the dark. Friends clapped, shouted, and danced together, a mix of faces and voices from every place, united in joy. Kate stood among them, radiant and full of grace. Her dress shimmered softly, and her laughter rose above the music. She was no longer the barefoot child under the mango tree. But near the gate stood a young man, quiet, still, watching. He was dressed in fine linen, tall, confident, yet strangely calm. He didn't dance. He only watched. His eyes searched the crowd until they stopped on Kate. Something in her laughter pulled at him, like a memory he couldn't reach. It was as if the music had faded and the world had gone still, leaving only her. And while she laughed with her friends, he stood unmoving, eyes locked on her, wondering if fate had just whispered her name. The night deepened, and the celebration burned brighter. The young man stood near the entrance, half in shadow, the glow of lights dancing across his face. He had traveled far, from another land, another life. And yet here he was, surrounded by voices that reminded him of home. He watched Kate again, her movements gentle but full of life. Something about her stirred a warmth inside him, something old, familiar, and yet new. He took one step forward, then stopped. His mind whispered questions his heart already knew the answer to. Could it be her? The girl from his childhood memories, the one who used to laugh beneath the mango tree, unafraid of the thunder. He closed his eyes, and for a moment, he could hear the rain again, smell the earth, and see two little girls hiding under a wrapper, promising forever. He opened his eyes, she was still there, laughing, radiant. He wanted to call her name, to walk closer, to tell her who he was. But some stories are not meant to rush. Some take their time, like the wind that circles the earth before returning home. And so he stood quietly, watching, remembering, waiting for the right moment to be seen. The graduation night ended, but Combe couldn't forget the girl in the gold armless dress whose laughter filled the air. While others danced, he had only watched. There was something about Kate that made his heart still and his thoughts restless. That night, as he drove away, the sound of her laughter stayed in his mind like a song that wouldn't stop playing. A week later,
he found himself back in the same quiet town. He told himself he was there on business, to meet a local supplier, but his heart knew the real reason. He wanted to see her again. He didn't have to look far. He saw her by the roadside helping some schoolchildren cross. Her kindness caught him again, just like it had that night. He walked up to her, trying to hide his nervousness. "Hello," he said with a polite smile. Kate turned and blinked, surprised. Then a small smile spread across her face. "You were at the graduation, weren't you?" "Yes," he said, scratching his head, suddenly feeling shy. "You probably didn't see me. You were busy dancing." Kate laughed. "Maybe next time, you should join us instead of just standing by the gate." That laugh, it hit him again. It was warm, genuine, and full of life. From that day, they began to talk. Slowly. Naturally. He would sometimes stop by her school to say hello after work. Other times, he'd wait near the mango tree where she liked to read, and they would talk until sunset painted the sky gold. Kate liked Combs' calm spirit. He wasn't loud or showy. He listened more than he spoke. He treated her with respect and gentleness. And Combe loved the way Kate saw the world, full of hope, kindness, and light. The people in the town began to notice. The women at the market smiled when they saw them walking together. The men at the workshop teased him kindly, saying, "Ah, our brother has found his light." Even Jadora, Kate, smiled too. But her smile did not reach her eyes. At first, she was happy. Kate was her sister in everything but blood. She had dreamed of seeing Kate happy. But as days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, something inside Jadora began to change. Whenever she saw Comey and Kate together, laughing, talking, or sharing roasted corn by the roadside, her chest tightened. She couldn't explain it. At night, when she closed her eyes, she saw them together, and it made her feel small, unwanted, forgotten. She told herself it was nothing, that it would pass. But it didn't. The more Kate glowed, the darker Jadora's thoughts became. One evening, as the three of them walked home from a community event, Kate's hand brushed against Combs'. He smiled at her gently, and Jadora saw it, that soft look of love in his eyes. That moment broke something inside her. That night, she sat alone in her room, tears running down her face. She whispered into the dark. "Why not me? Why her? Why does she always have everything?" Her words echoed against the walls, and in that silence, something dangerous began to grow inside her, envy. The kind that doesn't shout, but burns quietly until it consumes everything. The next morning, Jadora avoided Kate. She told herself she just needed space. But deep down, she knew she was already changing. Kate didn't notice. She was too lost in the excitement of her new love. She still sent messages to Jadora, still invited her everywhere, still spoke about Comey with the same childlike joy she once had under the mango tree. But every word, every story about Comey, only pushed Jadora further into jealousy. She started avoiding the mango tree, their old place. She started walking different routes to school, and when Kate asked if she was okay, Jadora smiled and said she was just tired. But inside, her heart was boiling. At night, when the town was quiet and the wind blew through her window, she thought about Kate and Combe. Their laughter. Their closeness. Their happiness. She thought about the promises Kate once made, that they would never be apart. And now, she felt like she had been replaced. The pain turned to anger. The anger turned to hate. And soon, she began to wish that Kate's happiness would end. Jadora could no longer hide what she felt. She couldn't eat. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Kate and Combe laughing together. The pain in her chest grew heavier with every sunrise. She began to walk alone more often, taking long routes after school just to avoid seeing them. But one evening, as she passed the far end of town, she heard two women talking near the market. "They say there's a woman by the hill, one of them whispered. "She helps people get what they want, for a price." Jadora stopped walking. Her heart beat fast. She turned to the women and listened carefully, hiding behind a wall. The older woman continued, "She's strange. No one knows where she came from. Some say she's a healer, others say she's something else. But everyone agrees, she can change your fate." That night, Jadora couldn't sleep. The name "the woman by the hill" kept ringing in her mind. She tried to ignore it. She prayed. She cried. But her jealousy whispered louder than her guilt. By the third night, she couldn't fight it anymore. When the moon was high, Jadora left her home quietly and walked toward the hills outside town. The road was dark, and the wind carried strange sounds. She heard frogs croaking, leaves rustling, and once, something like a whisper behind her. After a long walk, she saw a small light glowing between the trees. It came from a little hut made of wood and old stone. An old woman sat outside, staring into the fire as though she had been waiting. Jadora stopped, unsure what to say. The woman looked up, her eyes sharp and deep like the night itself. "Come closer, child," she said softly. "The wind told me you would come." Jadora froze. How did you know?" she stammered. The woman smiled, not kindly, not cruelly, just knowingly. "There is always one like you," she said. "A heart that burns for what it cannot have." Jadora wanted to turn back, but her feet wouldn't move. I want someone to stop loving another," she whispered finally. The woman's smile grew faint. "Then what you seek is not love, but revenge," she said. She stood up slowly, went inside her hut, and came back with a small clay pot. It was sealed with wax and tied with a black string. "This will hide him from her eyes," she said. "She will not see him again. His path will break, and his name will fade from her heart." Jadora's hands shook as she took the pot. "Will it hurt him?" she asked. The woman only said, "When you play with fate, child, everyone bleeds." Then she turned back to the fire, whispering something Jadora couldn't understand. The flames turned blue for a moment. That night, Jadora walked back home holding the pot close to her chest, feeling both powerful and terrible. The next morning, Kate invited Jadora to visit Komi's new factory. It was his dream project, a place that made handcrafted designs and local goods. He had worked day and night for it, and now it was finally open. Jadora wanted to say no, but Kate's joy was too bright to refuse. So she smiled and agreed, hiding the clay pot somewhere in her house. When they arrived, Komi welcomed them warmly. He showed them around, the machines, the workers, the storage rooms. Kate was proud of him. She kept saying, "You did it, Komi. I told you you would." But Jadora could hardly breathe. Every word Kate said felt like a knife in her chest, and when Komi smiled at Kate, it was too much. That night, she came back to the factory alone. The sky was cloudy and the wind cold. She walked quietly between the buildings until she reached the main gate. Her hands trembled as she brought out the pot. The old woman's words echoed in her mind. "Pour it where he works. Say his name. Then walk away." Jadora opened the pot. A strange smell came out, thick, smoky, like burnt wood and rain. She whispered, "Comb," and poured a few drops on the ground. The moment the liquid touched the earth, the air grew heavy. The wind stopped. The night went silent. And somewhere far off, thunder rumbled, even though there were no clouds in the sky. Jadora ran. She didn't look back. The next morning, black smoke rose above the town. People shouted, ran, and pointed. Combs' factory was burning. The fire moved fast, swallowing everything, the machines, the walls, the dreams. By the time it stopped, nothing was left but ash. Combe lost everything. He stood before the ruins with tears in his eyes, unable to speak. Kate held him tightly, crying beside him. Nobody knew how it happened. Some said lightning struck. Others said an electrical spark. But Jadora knew. She stood in the crowd, silent, pretending to cry. But her heart was racing. She had done it. She had destroyed what Kate loved most. And yet, the victory didn't feel sweet. When Kate knelt in the ashes, trying to comfort Combe, Jadora felt something inside her break. Kate still loved him even more now than before. Jadora's plan had failed. The fire had destroyed the factory, but not their love. After the fire, the town grew quiet. People spoke in whispers, afraid of what had happened. Combe tried to rebuild, but nothing worked. Every investor pulled away. Every plan failed. It was as if the world itself had turned against him. Kate grew worried about her friend. Jadora, she said one afternoon, you've been distant. Talk to me. What's wrong? Jadora forced a smile. I'm fine. Just tired. But inside, her heart was cracking. The jealousy that had once made her feel powerful was now eating her alive. The fire had taken everything. Combe's factory was gone, his dream turned to ashes. But in his darkness, one person stayed. Every morning, Kate came with food and a gentle smile. Every night, she sat beside him and whispered. We'll start again. Don't give up. Combe could barely speak. But her voice became his strength. People in the town began to whisper again. Not about the fire, but about their love. That girl has a golden heart, they said. Even when he has nothing, she still holds him close. But not everyone was happy. Jadora watched, day after day, her heart filling with jealousy. She had thought that once Combe lost everything, Kate would leave him. But instead, their love grew even stronger. That night, Jadora couldn't sleep. She turned on her bed again and again, whispering into the dark. Why does she still love him? What kind of love survives a fire? The voice in her heart answered quietly. Go back to the woman by the hill, she will help you again. Wind blows through the window. Jadora stands, covers her head, and walks into the night. Before the first light of dawn, Jadora was already on her way back to the hill. Back to the place where her jealousy was first given power. Misty Hilltop. A small hut with a weak fire burning inside. The woman was waiting as if she had never moved since Jadora last came. You came back, the woman said. Her voice was low, calm, and heavy with knowing. Did my gift not please you? Jadora's voice shook with anger. You lied to me. You said Kate would stop loving him. But she loves him even more now. The woman laughed softly, the sound dry like cracking wood. Child, you can break a man's house, but not a woman's heart. Jadora stepped closer, her hands trembling. Then make her forget him. Make her hate him. I want her to never see him again. The woman looked at her carefully. You're asking for something darker. She opened a wooden chest and pulled out a shiny glass bottle. A faint hum filled the air. This bottle can hold a man's spirit. His body will live, but his soul will be trapped inside. She will never see him again. Jadora's breath caught. Will he die? No, the woman said. But he will wander unseen. Neither living nor gone. Jadora hesitated only for a moment. Then she whispered. Tell me what to do. The woman leaned close to her ear. Wait until his shadow touches the ground. Pour one drop on it. Call his name 3 times. The sun will do the rest. The woman hands her the bottle. Jadora takes it carefully. And remember, the woman warned. When you cage another's soul, your own will never be free. But Jadora didn't care anymore. She turned and walked into the mist, clutching the bottle like a prize. Behind her, the woman whispered to the fire. Another heart walking into its own destruction. The sun was bright. The air peaceful. But Jadora's heart was no longer her own. She hid behind a tree, watching them laugh together. Her jealousy burned like fire in her veins. When Kate went inside to pick something up, Jadora stepped forward. She opened the bottle, and whispered his name. Komi. 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 Komi straightened, confused. He looked around, dizzy. Then his eyes rolled back and he fell. Kate screamed and ran to him. Comb. What's wrong? He looked at her, but his eyes were empty. He tried to speak, no sound came. Then his body went still. Neighbors ran. People shouted. But no one could explain what had happened. Inside it, a faint heartbeat pulsed. It worked, she whispered. It finally worked. That night, she went to the river. The moon shone on the water. She threw the bottle as far as she could and watched it sink. It's done, she whispered. But evil never disappears. It only travels downstream. Far away, where the river curved through a forest, lived a young boy named Lon. People said he belonged to the river. He was born during a great storm, and could swim deeper than anyone. He said the river sometimes spoke to him. That morning, he saw something glowing between the reeds. He dived in and came up with a shiny bottle sealed with black wax. The bottle hummed softly in his hands, warm, alive. Papa, he shouted. Look what I found. His father turned, eyes wide. Throw that thing back, boy. Some gifts from the river are not for us. But Lon couldn't. When he held the bottle close, he heard a faint voice whisper. Help me, please. That night, he hid it under his bed. In his sleep, he dreamed of a man standing waist deep in water, eyes full of sorrow. Tell her I am here, the man said. Take me to the mango tree. Lon woke up shaking. The bottle was glowing faintly beside him. The river was calling him again. The next morning, he told his father. The old man sighed. The river chose you, my son. Do what it asks before the sun sets. Lon wraps the bottle in cloth and starts walking along the riverbank. He didn't know who her was. He didn't know what mango tree meant. But he walked, because when the river speaks, the wise obey. Late afternoon. Kate sits beside Combs' motionless body, holding his hand. Days had passed. Comb was alive, but his eyes were empty. He didn't eat. He didn't move. Doctors said he wasn't sick. He was just gone. Then came the knock. Kate opened the door to see a thin boy dripping water, holding a bundle wrapped in cloth. Are you Miss Kate? He asked quietly. The river sent me. He opened the cloth, the same bottle. A voice inside said your name, Lon said. Kate frowned. What voice? He handed it to her. The moment she touched it, cold air filled the room. The candle beside her flickered. A faint whisper came from inside. Kate, my love. Kate dropped to her knees. She looked at Lon, trembling. Where did you find this? In the river, the boy said. The voice told me to bring it to the mango tree. Kate grabbed the bottle and ran. Lon followed, running barefoot through the field. Kate placed the bottle on the ground. Please, she cried. Let him go. The bottle shook violently. Cracks spread across it. Then came a burst of light and wind. The ground trembled. The bottle shattered. And there he was, Comb, weak but alive. Kate fell into his arms, crying with joy. You came back to me. I heard you calling, Comb whispered. Jadora watched silently. At first, she felt guilty. Then afraid. Then haunted. Every night, she heard the old woman's voice in her dreams. When you play with fate, everyone bleeds. Sometimes she woke up screaming, feeling as if the smoke was filling her room. Sometimes she saw fire in her reflection. She tried to go back to the hill to find the woman, but the hut was gone. Only ashes remained where it once stood. She dropped to her knees and cried. "I didn't mean for this," she shouted. But the wind only answered with a whisper. "It has begun." Her voice was faint, but rivers bring things back. Kate shivered. Night came. Lon, the river boy, slept in his father's hut, but the river would not let him rest. He heard voices, faint, watery, calling his name. "Lon! Lon, bring the bottle." But the bottle had shattered. Still, the river whispered. Lon opened his eyes. The room glowed faint blue. Water dripped from the ceiling, even though it wasn't raining. His father rushed in. "Boy, what have you done?" Lon whispered, frightened, "Papa, the river wants something else." The old man's face turned pale. He cupped Lan's chin with trembling fingers. "Not everything the river gives is a gift, my son. Sometimes, it leaves debts." Kate sat on the soil below the mango tree, hands shaking. She brought flowers for gratitude, but she also brought fear in her heart. Lon walked gently beside her, barefoot, silent. Comey sat weakly under the tree too, staring at the moon. His voice cracked. "I feel someone standing behind me, watching." Kate turned. Sharply, no one was there. Suddenly, wind hissed through the trees. Leaves swirled. A faint giggle echoed, soft, broken, familiar. Lon clutched Kate's arm. "She is near." Kate whispered, trembling, "Jadora." A soft voice floated, like smoke, fragile but sharp enough to cut the night. "I asked for love, and got ashes." The wind circled them, colder, stronger. Lon covered his ears. Comb grabbed Kate's hand. A shape formed near the stream, not solid, not spirit, a mist of regret shaped like a girl. Jadora. Her eyes were no longer jealous, only tired, heavy with sorrow. "I am trapped between here and there, the river will not take me fully." Kate swallowed hard. "You did this. You chose this path." Jadora's smoky form shook. "I chose pain because I feared being invisible." Her voice cracked like breaking pottery. "I thought love meant possession. I didn't understand it could be gentle." Combe stood slowly. He watched her with pity, not anger. "Let go, Jadora. Forgive yourself." She reached for him, her fingers turning to smoke before touching him. "I would trade all my wishes to feel warm again, even for one breath." Lon stepped forward. "Spirit, what do you want from us?" The smoke flickered. Every leaf froze in place. The river stilled, as if holding its breath. "I need release." Kate wiped her tears. "How?" Jadora's eyes glowed, desperate. "Return what was borrowed." Kate froze. Comey's hand dropped from hers. Lan's heart pounded. He understood. She means him. The trees groaned. The ground shook. A force pulled Combe backward, toward the river. Kate screamed and held him tight. "No. You can't take him again." Water surged from the river like a rising serpent. Jadora's voice trembled. "Everything has a price." Combe gasped, his breath turning cold. His pulse faded in Kate's fingers. Kate looked at Jadora, fury and heartbreak burning in her eyes. "Take me instead." The river paused. Jadora's smoky form flickered, violently. Lan's voice shook. "The river listens to sacrifice." Kate kneeled, tears streaming. "He is innocent. Let him stay. Take me." Jadora stared at her, shocked, aching, changing. "This is love, the kind I wanted but never gave." Her smoky form dimmed. She turned to the river and whispered. "Spare them. Take me fully. A roar of wind. Water rose, then swallowed her whole. Silence. Then, peace. Combe gasped, breath rushing back into him like life returning to a forgotten room. Kate collapsed into his chest, sobbing. Lon fell to his knees, exhausted. Fireflies floated around them, gentle, golden, like blessings. The river whispered, softer than before. Balance restored. Weeks later. Life returned to the village. People laughed again. Combe's smile became full and bright. Lon visited often, the river quiet now, peaceful. Kate would sometimes walk to the mango tree, leave a flower, and whisper. May your soul find rest. Some nights, a soft breeze would brush her face, like a thank you. And in the river, where light meets water, sometimes a shimmer appears, like a girl dancing, free at last. Thanks for watching Crystal Chronicles. Love you family. See you in our next video.